baby, you don't fill my sock with candy, an old bright and shiny toy. You wanna make me happy and fill my heart with joy. Then Santa, hear my plea. Santa, bring my baby back to me. Please make this reindeer hurry. Well, the time is drawing near. It sure won't seem like Christmas. But my baby's here. Oh, but don't fill my sock with candy, an old bright and shiny.
And good morning and welcome to Let's Talk with Beaver Dam Unified School District Superintendent Mark DiStefano. We got a guest here today as well. Mark, how are you doing today in this snowy Thursday?
I'm doing great. I love this weather.
You love
Beautiful.
this weather?
Yeah.
Sorry, I owe you 3 minutes of content at some point.
Do you really?
Yes.
We're just making memories back here.
Are we making memories? No. There's a Christmas party going on in the back room, and I think a little little too much eggnog back in the back
well,
in
that's
the main
special.
office.
That's special. Yeah, doing it different here, I guess.
Exactly. Glad to have you here. Obviously, heading down the home stretch of the. It's not the semester, but it's a lot of people kind of like a nice break here with Christmas coming up here. The district got tomorrow, and then a week and a half off for the kids about.
Yeah, they're back. I believe that Thursday after New Year's, which is the second.
Okay,
which is the 2nd of January. So nice, healthy break for the kids and for the staff. So really important to be able to recharge and spend time with loved ones, and I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that.
Yeah, and a little refresher and everything, but lots going on, lots of cool stuff going on. And I always tell my kids, make sure you take every advantage to be educated here through today and tomorrow. Don't mail it in at all, and it's an honor to be educated.
It is. You got to keep your foot on the gas, but slow down today when you're driving, right, Wade?
Yeah. How were the roads? I went to get something for lunch, but I went like a block, and the lady asked me how the roads were. I'm like, I drove a block.
Yeah,
I can't be the fair judge.
They're not great, but it is December in Wisconsin, so as long as you take your time, I think everybody's going to be fine.
It is. Expect this time of year. You're going to get snow if you don't want to. I would say if you don't want any snow, just mediocre snow, move to like southern Illinois.
Yeah,
get enough snow area to remember to have maybe a white Christmas, but it's not going to get a foot of snow.
I've encouraged people to do a lot of things over the years. I don't know if I've ever encouraged anyone to move to Illinois.
Well, I'm just saying, number one, you can golf all year round if you move to southern Illinois, go to like Carbondale or something like that. Or not saying I'm endorsing people to move, but I'm just saying if you don't like driving like you're driving or enjoying a snowstorm every now and then, you're good.
Yeah, I agree. So we do have Brandon Krause with us, and he's gonna spend some time giving us an update on Prairie View Elementary here in a little bit. But Brandon Krause is a principal for us. He's a principal at Prairie View Elementary. He's also our elementary teaching and learning coordinator. So he has oversight and provides guidance and support for all the elementary schools and works with all the elementary principals. So we're excited to hear from him, and he does have the green light to interject on any topic today. So I don't know if I've done that before.
Oh, really?
But I'm just kind of in the holiday spirit.
So, Brandon, what should Mark buy his lovely bride, Lindsay, for Christmas? Topics like that?
That's I know his wife well, but I don't know if I know her that well to tell him what to advise him to buy her.
Okay, so
hand warmers.
Hand warmers. I had to buy a package of hand warmers for everybody in my family.
Another unicorn sweatshirt for holiday.
Yeah,
maybe.
Perfect.
Yeah,
lots going on with students and staff here. Lots to celebrate, isn't there?
Yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit last month when we talked about just kind of this season of Thanksgiving and the amount of work and outreach that our students and staff do, and I think that's really a key highlight that we need to continue to bring forward to make sure people understand and are aware of how much our kids do. So I think we had touched on the food drive last time, but final numbers were in, so just under 10,000 pounds worth of food that was raised among our schools. and then donated to the food pantry. So anytime you're talking about 5 tons of added contribution worth of food, I think that's really special, and it's really neat to see how engaged the kids and the staff get into it. I mean, they really rally around that effort. And it's just really, really good, positive energy.
It is. It's one of those things, I remember at the elementary level, it was every day we had to go through the pantry because today we're bringing whatever, tomorrow it's this, and everything is taken out. And the kids feel the responsibility to help out and do the cause. Do you see that, Brandon, at Prairie View?
Our hallway was lined with boxes for the entire week. It was an amazing effort by not just Prairie View, but all of our district schools.
Even at the high school, I know my kids came and we were digging through looking for stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of need out there, and it's just a great learning experience for the kids to give to those that are less fortunate and have needs. And oftentimes what's really special about our community is, we've got a number of people, obviously, that, maybe aren't as fortunate themselves, but they're still giving to others. And that's really, really powerful.
And I know the one reaction I got, though, was, Dad, why did this can of spaghetti expire in 2017?
Well, you need to do some pantry cleaning on a more regular basis, Wade.
Probably still good, though, isn't it?
I don't know if I can make a call on that.
If the aliens landed and you didn't have food, do you think you'd be able to eat that?
I'd probably heat it up for a very, very long time because whatever grows in there is probably problematic.
Okay, but that did not donate. Everything that we donated to the cause was all within its.
I'm sure.
Good.
I'm sure.
Its ratio when it was still good to go.
Well, we didn't just collect food.
Yes.
A lot of other outreach. I know you're probably really familiar with the outreach that our girls hockey program did with Loaves and Fishes. In the community, I know that I believe Tracy might have touched on it at some point, but FFA was involved in that Santa's Hometown Holiday Adventure experience throughout the community, and they had a live animal kind of exhibit, if you will, at the high school, which is pretty awesome that we're able to take that great learning space that the community invested in 2016. Not only is it great for kids on the day-to-day, but it's also able to be used for things like that to welcome people in and engage in seeing those live animals and talking with our kids. We had the boys green and gold scrimmage. They always do that large benefit to the Dodge County Toy Bank. So boys basketball team. So that's awesome. People get excited about those things. So just when we look around, and I know I've said this before, but it's a general expectation for any of our kids involved in an extracurricular activity or athletic, because those really are privilege opportunities. That part of that work is that they're giving back in the community, and they do such a wonderful job doing that, and they really get excited to give back. It's pretty powerful.
It is. We're talking with Beaver Dam Unified School District Superintendent Mark DiStefano. Let's talk on 95.3 WBEV and Daily Dodge TV. If you want to never miss an episode, you can subscribe to Daily Dodge TV on YouTube. And whether we have a sporting event like tonight, Milton and Beaver Dam, boys basketball, or this program, they'll get a notification on your phone, Mark, and you're never going to miss it.
That's key. Yeah, I love added notifications on my phone. Is something I really look forward to having.
You don't have enough of those?
Yeah, I have no phone calls today. Weather like today, nothing.
What time do people start texting you? If there's even a dusting of snow, I'm sure you get at least one communication from either somebody within your district or like a parent or a student asking, hey, what's the chances of us being delayed? Or
depends on when the snow is going to start.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually about 2 to 3 hours before snowfall would even begin is usually when people get curious. But it's all good. It's part of the process, and people get concerned or worried about various things, or people are so busy with their lives, they're all trying to make plans. I think sometimes it's not about whether or not they're really passionate one way or the other. They just want to know what their plans are going to look like.
Yeah.
Is this going to get canceled? Is this going to get moved, etc. So, but on a day like today, with after-school activities and events, which is something that people are very curious about, right? Typically not till after the noon hour, and usually before 1:30 or 2 is when we typically try to make decisions. But we're talking with the bus company, obviously, and looking at length of travel for some of our teams, or what's the nature of the event. So like on a day like today, while we'd love to hold everything, there's a chance we decide not to travel a team, perhaps. And then we do allow for the events in and around our buildings here locally where we're not traveling. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But people definitely get curious early.
So you haven't gotten a text during the show yet?
No. I'm sure my friend to the east, I'm sure he's, just waiting for me to make a decision so he can just follow right along.
Rich Apple just doesn't want to take any accountability at Horicon, does he? He waits for you.
Shifting it to me.
No,
it's fine.
Yeah, because I know basketball goes to Milton tonight. Girls hockey goes to Beloit. So 2 longer bus trips,
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the weather shakes out. But
anything else activities wise that we want to hit on, Mark?
Well, you've touched on it. I think as people think about the break, we still have stuff going on.
Yeah.
All break too. So if you're looking for great entertainment or an opportunity to see our students showcase their talent and how they're contributing positively in our community, this weekend we've got a wonderful wrestling tournament hosted at the high school, the Wickersham. So I believe there'll be right around 16 teams. At that particular event, so it'll be a very, very busy place. I know other teams have different things scheduled. There's a lot of things going on in our community, but there's plenty of opportunity to be engaged. If people want to come out, check things out, I encourage people to stop out with family that might be visiting and see how things are going.
I do a weekly Inside Beaver Dam High School athletics and activities with Ryan Gerber. You talk about, the last couple of weeks, always there's something going on at the in the auditorium with all the elementary concerts, the middle school concerts, the band, the choir. And if you're into holidays, those are open. So if you see something going on or check the activities page, see that there's a concert going on, you can go in and enjoy some great music and see the hard work.
Yeah, and I think even for some reason, if people aren't interested in attending, I think every once in a while, on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, because a lot of times those are when we have evening events. Wednesday we keep carved out so people can go and attend church or other things. But if you drive by the high school, that corner there on Gasson Way and Gould, and you see the Family Center lot packed full, you see part of the MPTC lot packed full, obviously the high school lot packed full. Keep in mind that right around 50% of those vehicles are people from out of town that are coming to various events, and that all adds value in our economy. And we get a lot of great people coming, supporting the kids. And it's just a really wonderful thing.
It is. And, part of our program today, I'm going to play a little bit tomorrow on the morning show on 95.3 WBEV. Les Mis, the performance, got pretty much every aspect of that show got nominated for a Jerry Award, which is like the Academy Awards of Wisconsin high school musicals.
Yeah, 22 was nominated for 22 Jerry Awards, which is amazing.
It is. So, and I'm going to replay that segment with Ryan Gerber tomorrow morning, right around 6:35, just because give those kids some credit. That was a big undertaking. A lot of people couldn't believe that the district was taking on that show, and they knocked it out of the park. I had one guy tell me after the show, who was a Les Mis groupie, He said, this is the best high school performance that I've ever seen of Les Mis.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job. And if you remember, we were talking about that early fall already. They began their efforts, preparation, practice, rehearsals in the summer. So tip of the hat to all of our kids and the staff that invested in that. And quite frankly, Lefebvre and others that were willing to take that on and believe that our kids could do that, because it's a very complicated production, and they did a wonderful job. And always love giving a shout out to Greg Richter, who basically runs the AV and the auditorium essentially, and he's just a wonderful asset for us.
You know, also doing a wonderful job, Brandon Krause, over at Prairie View Elementary. And is he aware that whenever,
he's doing all right.
Whenever we have a principal on, they always open the segment by singing the school fight song? Are you going to keep the streak going?
Somehow I don't believe that's true, Wade.
Oh, I just thought I'd
like
give
you're
it
razzing me.
Thought I'd give it a try.
It's to the on Wisconsin. I'm ready. We just sang it yesterday in assembly. But
Prairie View Panthers.
Yeah.
Prairie View Panthers.
Yeah. I don't know that the community wants to hear me sing.
Okay,
necessarily.
Well, you are the school of the month in the Beaver Dam Unified School District. And obviously, Prairie View, very proud of the things that are going on there. Can I kind of talk about your school?
Yeah, we've got lots of amazing things, amazing staff, amazing families that give their all every day for our students. Got about 370 students between our early childhood through fifth grade program. So we have students as little as 3 years old and as old as fifth grade. So we get to have some time with little kids and older kids every day. Staff of about 65 total. So it's a big building. We've got a lot of students and families to serve. We're really, really proud of the growth and achievement of our students over the last couple of years. Our school report card score has gone up by about 20 points since about 4 years ago. Just recently recognized as a best elementary school by the U.S. News and World Report, which is amazing, and it's a testament to the dedication and investment of our families in Prairie View, and the hard work of our students, and of course the tireless efforts of our staff day in and day out, not just between 8 to 4 every day, but weekends, nights, mornings. So we're really proud about that. We're internationally recognized as a model school for our collaboration and collaborative efforts between our staff to support that student growth and achievement. So lots of amazing things happening as far as teaching and learning is concerned. Our PTO is very actively involved in a lot of amazing things. We got our hopefully our Santa night tonight is annual. We got Santa and Mrs. Claus come. Kids get to decorate cookies, and we got fun activities and events. So it's a busy day at the View today, for a lot of reasons.
How did you get Christmas? I'm looking at my Christmas is like on Tuesday night into Wednesday. How did you book Santa this close to the holiday? Was it the test scores?
It's all about
raising 20 points. Are you on the nice list?
It's all about connections. It's who you know.
Okay.
We've got him on the other end of a text. So Santa texts just like anybody else. So he was able to commute. We got him early, and
Santa's text line.
yeah, we're lucky. Santa just loves Culver's, so he just has to know Culver's is on the other end of it, okay. And he's happy to show.
Excellent stuff there. You mentioned Prairie View is a 3-section elementary school, so
Correct.
That means there's 3 grades or 3 classrooms for every class. How is that? Obviously, doing such great things there. A big student load there for your teachers and everything to work hard with.
Yeah, I mean it just goes to the collaboration of our staff. They meet weekly for 45 minutes. Actually, Thursdays is our days that teachers collaborate around student learning to see how students are doing around our essential standards, and really discuss students that are needing extra support, students that need maybe a little extension and enrichment. So just the collaborative efforts of our staff, not just on Thursdays, but they're in each other's classrooms every day, bouncing ideas off of each other, sharing resources. Some in our upper grades in 4th and 5th grade, some of our students travel between teachers for different content areas. So sharing the load is something big that we do as well. And all of our elementary schools in the district as well, just those collaborative efforts between our staff.
Mark, Mark, you appreciate all the elementary schools too, but what do you appreciate most about Prairie View?
Yeah, I think, when you look at a school like Prairie View, I think one of the things that you really appreciate or notice early on is this commitment to, and I've used the term before, but like the champion mindset, that there's a very, very high belief in all students growing and achieving at a very, very high level. And there's a high shared expectation of excellence. And when you hear that, depending on who you are and where you're at, you might think, well, that maybe doesn't sound fun, but they have a lot of fun. They have a lot of energy. They're very, very committed to excellence. There's not a lot of wiggle room, so you don't see, like these soft lands or other things kind of weaving their way in. There's this reverence for, making every moment matter. And just a really, really high bar. And that's a testament, obviously, to the staff for making that commitment. But, Brandon and his team are committed to that. And that, that's the front office staff. That's their expectation of themselves and making sure that the ship is operating very, very well. That's Brandon. That's the associate principal there, Caitlin Dwyer. That's every single teacher. That's their custodian, Dan. I mean, so there's this high level of commitment to excellence, and we have facets of that all over our district, and we can celebrate that. But I think it's about 99%, 100% almost at Prairie View, and where it's not, or where you might think that there could be potentially a soft spot that needs improvement. There's an unwavering commitment to addressing that and helping people be the best versions of themselves. So there's no acceptance of any type of apathy. And that creates traction, and that excellence then becomes contagious. And when you have that moving like that in a school, that's when you see, some of the highest performance scores that we've ever seen as a district. And that's when you see, for them, I don't know if he mentioned it. He talked a little bit about the U.S. News piece, but essentially they're like in the top 3% of all elementary schools in the state. And if you were to run that list, you'd see the Elmbrooks or Brookfields, you'd see Whitefish Bay, you'd see Cedarburg and Mequon, then you'd see Prairie View Elementary and Beaver Dam, and then you see some other Waukesha schools or other things. So Our kids can do it. The talent's there. Our staff are very, very capable. And when you have that heartfelt, unwavering commitment at all times, that's when you get that traction and you see that needle.
You know, I kind of live in that neck of the woods. I love it when you're outside for recess, just to hear the excitement, you know, of kids on the recess. It just that sound is just one smile. Sound that can't not put a smile on your face.
Yeah. I got a group of second grade boys that like me to play football with them every lunch, and when I can't, it's like a disappointment. But I get out there when I can, and fifth graders too, and that's why we do what we do, right? We do it for the kids. We do it to see the growth and achievement and the light in their eyes, and it's just great to be a part of every day.
Yeah, and those types of things obviously carry over into the classroom, right?
Yep.
You play nose tackle, don't you? Just go and get after the kid.
I'm actually quarterback.
Quarterback?
I didn't play quarterback in high school. I was on the line, but
really?
I feel like my quarterback skills have improved a little bit over the years.
Who's better, you or Edwards? Officer Edwards.
It depends. I think Edwards has got to step on me a little bit. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Edwards
is a better ball.
Yeah. Sometimes if you watch Edwards play, it's a little bit awkward because he has a duty belt on.
Okay.
Because remember, he's our school resource officer to those who aren't aware. But you got a pretty decent arm, I've heard. Pretty decent.
It's all right. It's a smaller playground. It's not 100 yards. So.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have to.
I don't have to heave it pretty far.
Excellent.
Sometimes, though.
Again, Prairie View Elementary. Anything else about Prairie View, Mark or Brandon? You want to kind of talk about the successes that they have over there?
Just Mark alluded to it. We're all staff are all in for all kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll see, our art teacher volunteering to do reading with kids. Our custodian, Mr. Dan, is out in the hallways, and he's engaging with students. He's not just wiping off tables and sweeping the floors. He is talking with kids every day. Kids know his name. He knows their names. So it really is a collaborative effort. And, it's a testament to the climate and culture that we've established. And it goes a long way in supporting our students.
All right, and again, full disclosure, my kids went through Prairie View. We kind of came midway through their elementary experience, and they enjoyed their time. Everybody was great there. And it's, everybody's engaged and has a passion for every student.
Awesome. Yeah.
Good work there. Mark, I think that we haven't talked have we talked since the referendum passed in November?
Well, you ghosted me a little bit, I think, in the November meeting. You had some other obligations.
So
I was on with
Justin.
I was on with Justin a little bit, and we talked, but just in more generalities, obviously, I extended our heartfelt appreciation for everybody and their support. But we didn't dive into some of the stuff I'd like to just make sure that we talk about today, which I want to talk about what communication is going to look like, because it's really important that we're very transparent with all the things that are going on. It's a significant investment. And then I want to talk about some key dates and milestones, because there's wonderments and curiosities, and there are some key dates and milestones that we are, excited and happy to share, just so people can kind of, earmark those and know when, maybe they'll have an opportunity to be either more engaged or know when, ground will be broken in a particular area. So I just want to cover a few of those things.
All right. Well, where do you want to start? I mean, it's a lot. There's a laundry list of things there today. And again, people do have questions because they passed, and now they're like, okay, what's the process? When am I going to start seeing construction vehicles out there and everything?
Yeah, so a lot of great questions, and I think the best way for us to address that is by having a good communication plan. So, essentially what we're going to start off doing, and this will continue through the whole project. And at certain points, we could do additional communication, but as kind of a bare minimum, what we're going to make sure that we do is every month report out publicly on various facets of the project. So in the background, what that looks like is essentially there's different project teams that are working through different aspects of the project throughout the month. But we're going to make sure that we bring that forward to our board's operations committee every month, kind of a synopsis or wrap up where we'll kind of highlight the what's new, different elements that the project teams are working on. So, what does the contractor have to share with our community, our public, right? What does the architect have to share? So we're going to have those things that they're sharing out specific to those entities and what they want to make sure that they're sharing with our community. Then we're going to do a finances and budget aspect of that communication every month as well. And then we'll always keep the key dates and milestones on there. So essentially what will happen at the operations committee on a monthly basis we'll talk through really a draft of what that comprehensive monthly project update is. And then after we get feedback from that operations committee, we'll go ahead then and publish that document. It's essentially a one-page brief that'll go out on the website. That'll be published. So every month, people will be able to see kind of a summary of what's new. They'll see those specific project highlights of things that have happened or things that are coming soon. Then they're going to get a breakdown of financial or budget decisions that were made. And then they'll always have those key dates and milestones. So we'll start that, like I said, in January, and this will carry forward for the next 18 months plus.
How different is working through this one where you're starting from scratch as opposed to in 2016 when that referendum came through and you were working with the exterior walls and in the roof of the high school? You know, obviously you had the addition, but for the most part you gutted the inside. How is it different in preparation knowing that you have a clean slate?
Yeah, so there's some really neat opportunities, and then there's some other unique challenges, right? So if we look at this project and we consider the Washington aspect, right, that's very similar to some of those characteristics you referenced from the high school components of the project, because with the renovations and the updates and the small additions at Washington, a lot of similarities with kind of, the planes in flight, right, and we're making some adjustments. And at the elementary, it'll be different, though, because we're very, very sensitive to doing construction that would be really inside of where kids might be occupying. But because of the smaller additions, we're going to be able to do some of that work while kids are there, but not the work that would be in their spaces that they would typically occupy. High school, you recall, I'm sure, but putting up temporary walls, having kids take detours down hallways, things like that. We're not doing those types of things at the elementary. So there's challenges there. But there's also relief in that, like the general footprint, things are already established. When you start from scratch, you don't have to deal with those logistical challenges, which is great. From a safety standpoint, there's less things to navigate because kids aren't on site. But there's more of the planning, approval process, some other things that you have to work through on the front end before you get to that maybe groundbreaking or work effort. That's a little bit unique. But from a safety logistics standpoint, it's nice because generally speaking, once we get moving, it's free reign to go. And you're not having to worry about, okay, where are we going to have, these classes held this day, or how are you going to move these kids around? So it's really a wonderful opportunity.
When we saw the renderings that were out, is that pretty close to what we're going to have? Obviously, those were initial renderings, and obviously, when you really get down to the nuts and bolts of things, and look at the outside aesthetics of the middle school,
sure.
Will it be pretty close to what we were seeing as the process went through?
So I'll speak about, again, I'll kind of separate them a little bit from the Washington aspect. Yes, in that. Because Washington's already there, so there's an intentionality to kind of obviously coordinate and make sure things don't look like just some random addition. You want them to blend well with the existing building, honor some of that existing architecture, et cetera. So those renderings are pretty close. And again, that project is ahead of, on the schedule, it's ahead of the middle school project. Conceptually, some of the larger puzzle pieces associated with the middle school, there's some things that'll definitely carry forward. But some of the subtleties and elements that you might have seen in a rendering, there's still more kind of ferreting out process of that. So, if you looked at one of the renderings and you're really into the architecture and you saw that, one wall had a little bit more brick and, maybe there's things that are going to change and evolve a little bit. But holistically, some of the general concepts about like where a front entrance might be, how you might have the activities portion and auditorium, gym, at a separate location, those types of things will carry forward. But some of the subtle, tones of the brick or stone or all those things could adjust subtly. Sure. But we go through a process getting feedback on that. But it's really the details of the plan that are really exciting, when you get into and we work with the staff to get feedback, and there's multiple touch points for that engagement. When we bring in law enforcement and when we talk to our police department, when we sit down with the sheriff and get their feedback on different elements of safety, those things can actually start to contribute a lot to just like the flow of the campus and the feel. So again, I don't think far afield, but those renderings aren't exactly obviously what what things are going to be.
Sure, but there's a lot of exciting stuff going on with it. Like I said, we've talked about bringing an incorporation of agribusiness and agri-science into the middle school, which they haven't really been able to do right now, and just and it'll be fun to watch as the process moves along.
Yeah, I think those things are all going to be wonderful. I think one of the things that doesn't seem as exciting maybe to the layperson but can't be understated is essentially we're going to have a learning environment for all kids where every learning space is appropriately sized and set up to not only serve the students but also provide the staff with the resources they need to be the best versions of themselves. Every space will be that way. Right now at the middle school, those spaces are absolutely few and far between. And you're not going to be able to see that necessarily from the outside, but the experience for the students and the staff, it's going to be world changing for them.
And I
it's
know
awesome.
I go back to that first day of school, and I ran into somebody picking out some extra supplies, and it was her first day at the middle school, and she had to wring out her shirt because remember that day it was really, really hot.
Yeah.
There are some places in the current middle school where I know you're trying to do your best to learn early on, but when it's 95 degrees in your classroom, that's hard to engage. And
you couple that with being 300 square feet undersized in a lot of those classrooms, that all adds up. And stairways. We know what the deficits are with the current place, but the new facility is not going to have those.
So
awesome.
with the timeline, so like for what's Washington's timeline now when it comes to construction completion, and what is the target date to have Washington's upgrades complete?
Yeah, so if you recall, we had kind of broken down just this concept into different phases.
Yep.
So that first phase is essentially the initial right size of the core academic spaces to make sure we receive all the Wilson students. So that's our phase one. That's where we're adding on some of the classrooms on the south east side of the building. So that will take place this summer. So that'll be done, punched out before school starts this coming year. And then we'll start phase two. We'll start certain elements of that right away. And that's going to be on the north side of the building. That's going to be right-sizing commons, making sure that we have designated art and music spaces for our students there. But at the end of the day, Washington's Phase 2 final punch will be the summer of 2026. So that project will be completely done by the end of summer in 2026.
So you get through the rest of this school year, next school year, and then they'll be good to go.
Yeah. And we're doing a lot of other things, too. If folks recall, there were a lot of other things to consider when they were responding to that question. So playground updates, we're going to start some of those playground updates this summer. So we'll try to knock out at least 2 of our elementary buildings playground updates, so fully accessible playgrounds as well as ADA access upgrades at those spaces. So as we touch one space, we're going to try to the extent possible to polish out a given space or campus. You can't do that all in one summer, but the biggest thing for the middle school is that our final middle school design and bidding, that'll take place really this summer and early fall, and there'll be a little bit of there'll be different packages that can be bid on. The first one that'll hit the streets has to do with basically the earthwork. So we will break ground this late summer, early fall at the middle school. Which is exciting.
How much earthwork needs to be done, like around? Obviously there's some acreage there, but around where the actual school is going to go, is there going to be a lot of earthwork that needs to be done in that area?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say exactly how much because some of that'll depend on the design. So if you recall, that location is basically there's a hill. It's being built on a hill, and then it's going to use some of that hill in connection with some of the architecture. So it depends on how much of that uses that slope versus how much of that doesn't. Will depend on how much ultimately earthwork needs to take place, and then some of that earthwork depends on where parking lots are going to ultimately go and where some of those pathways are going to be because you're moving earth to right grade and then make sure that you have the appropriate layering of aggregates to make sure that those that those structures stay in place well. So I can't say for sure, but there'll be a fair amount of earthwork.
Sure.
But the good news is I think the majority of what we need is actually on that site. So it's not like we're going to have to haul a ton off and we're going to have to bring a ton in. Obviously, different rock or stone fill, things like that you'd bring in. But we're excited because we know that there's big stones in that area. And we're excited to use some of those big stones for, some of the landscaping or traffic flow, or even for some of the safety elements around the campus. So pretty exciting stuff.
It is. Brandon, you mentioned, ADA, not compliant, but ADA accessible playground from the elementary level. How important is that for the whole educational process to have things outside in like your recesses and such to make sure they're accessible to everybody and kind of there for everybody to use?
Yeah, I think it's pivotal. I mean, we have students at all of our buildings that need access to the play equipment just like anybody else, and I think the upgrades that we're going to be able to see through this referendum is going to be pivotal in allowing that access, because right now it's limited depending on where you go and which playground you're looking at. So it's going to be great for our students that don't currently have that access to get it.
And then for the playground as well, my kid's favorite. What do you think my kid's favorite piece of equipment was at the Prairie View?
Was it the maypole?
Is that the thing you hang on to that
Yeah.
people spin around? You can
Yeah.
spin. It's like this generation's version of the merry-go-round,
Yeah.
I think, where you like hold on to it. Mark, are you familiar with the maypole?
I know what it is. I don't usually use it.
And you
Oh, yeah.
it's not for adults. I don't think can handle the dizziness that comes after effects, but
Something happens
yeah.
with the inner ear. I don't
Yes,
think it works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the tilter whirl almost.
Right,
But
yes.
we would go over and use that in non-school hours and see how far I could fling my kids off.
The other thing to keep in mind too is that all of our elementary schools are immediately adjacent or within a neighborhood.
Yes.
And these playground enhancements, as well as the ADA accessibility, is going to make it that much more of an asset or resource for those neighborhoods, so that people can enjoy those, after hours on the weekends. Grandparents can take kids there, get around comfortably. Because right now, just you're walking up onto something and then down onto something and then back up onto something to even get to the playground space. And then the playgrounds themselves, have some limitations. And our PTOs have been phenomenal. They support us a lot with some of the playground, just basic maintenance or replacement of things and some other, updates. But this is going to allow us to get ahead of that curve, and it allows us to focus on, really having wonderful playgrounds in all buildings and not playing catch up down the road. So really excited about that.
Excellent work. Anything else when it comes to timelines in the referendum that you think people need to know at this point?
Yeah, so again, I would say if people are wondering, groundbreaking fall of 2025 for the middle school. That's a general, I think, tag people can keep in mind. And then when we look at the middle school envelope, having it fully enclosed by the fall of 26, move-in summer of 2027 for that new middle school. The Washington Elementary will be punched out by the summer of 2026. Again, phase 1 takes place this summer, right size, welcoming all those Wilson students there, and then the other upgrades and enhancements to take that 1940s building and make sure that it's a good resource for our community for the next 20 plus years. Will be all punched out by the summer of 2026. And then throughout the course of this timeline, from essentially this spring and summer on through the completion of the middle school project, that's when we're going to be doing those other enhancements, enhancing ADA across the district, recreation site improvements throughout the district, making sure that the safety around our buildings, the traffic flow enhancements or improvements, particularly I think of Lincoln and Prairie View. Those things will take place in the summers, and some of them take a little bit more planning, and some of them are a little bit more straightforward. So this summer, the community is definitely going to see progress in their investment. Next summer is really a huge summer. I mean, that's when you look at it, because all of kind of that back end planning, punching out design, because you can't do all that before a referendum. It costs a lot of money. We don't have the money. We didn't have the money to do it before the referendum. So now that we have that, all those final details and planning goes in to position ourselves so that second summer throughout the district is going to be a really big summer. That summer of 2026 it's going to be awesome to see a lot of that transformation really coming come into bear. So.
A lot of communications on the referendum here on this show and, on the website, but there's a great resource that you have. The Unifier, the district newsletter is a great resource that people need to seek out and really kind of stay up to date with everything going on in all aspects of the district.
Yeah, so we push that out every month, that Unifier. It's a district newsletter. There's some kind of thematic. Every month, essentially, there's a thematic message. So, most recently, it had to do with the holidays and giving and community outreach. Coming up, we'll have one on assessments. We do one on finance and budget all the time as well, or every year as well. So, just want to make sure the community is aware that we do have that available. We push that out. We use social media to help push that out. It's on our website, and then we do have hard copies available at the Watermark. We also have some at Lupita's, a couple other places. And if somebody ever wants a hard copy too, they can just stop by the ESC, the Educational Services Center at 400 East Burnett. But I encourage you to take a look at that. There's a lot of goings-ons, announcements, things like that come through. That's kind of a good one-stop shop, if you will. And it's an ode to some of the original newsletters that went out in our district's history. And that was actually also called the Unifier. So we had a newsletter when I started in this position, and then we were going through the archives, if you will, and we came across this Unifier that was put out. I think it was a quarterly basis at that point in time, but so we've kind of want to honor that history and tradition of what was done. Obviously, we have updated information in there now, but really encourage people to take a look at it. I have had the question, why don't you mail it to everybody? It's really, really expensive. Yeah. It's really, really expensive to mail it to everybody in the entire community. So we're happy to provide you with a hard copy if you ever want it. We do put it out there in the community for people to pick it up. And then the electronic copy is out there on our district website, and we do push that out through social media every month.
Good stuff, Mark. I appreciate you coming in here today and enlightening us on what's going on in the Beaver Dam Unified School District. Brandon, continuing to doing a great job at Prairie View Elementary, and also your work with all the other elementary schools in town. It's much appreciated. People do notice.
Thank you.
Mark, have a Merry Christmas. Brandon, have a Merry Christmas, and hopefully, we have a good New Year, and Santa brings you stuff nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. So Merry Christmas to everybody out there, and keep celebrating Beaver Dam.
This has been Let's Talk with the Beaver Dam Unified School District on 95.3 WBEV and DailyDodge.com. Have a great snowy afternoon, everybody.